one arm and a leg, but
I had a car accident. And I lost 8 years of my memory. 8 years, just gone.
Well, Fox's medical drama Doc returns tonight with 2 seasons. It stars Molly Parker as Dr. Amy Larson, who lost 8 years of her memory because of a traumatic car crash. And Fox 5's Ryan Christopher spoke with Parker about the brand new season and what to expect from her character.
For a couple hours?
We could lose our accreditation.
I don't think they'd be that punitive.
How exciting is this show for you, and knowing that you're going into season 2, and what would you like to see your character, how you would like her to evolve a little bit?
Well, we were so excited to have a second season. We were tremendously excited and surprised to get 22 episodes to shoot in season 2. So that really gives us space, I think, to delve more deeply into all these characters and their relationships and their relationships with each other, not just with Amy, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, there's the situation of, you know, a woman who has lost 8 years of her memory, who has this sort of black hole in the center of her life, really presents this sort of mystery to her and to the audience. And so within there, I think there's so much potential for, I mean, anything could happen.
Anything can happen,
Really?
literally.
Yeah.
Maybe you want to tell him the reason you don't remember.
And dump my trauma onto him? What good would that do?
But we also see another side of your character, the OG
Yes.
Doc. She was a little bit different.
Yes.
So is it fun for you as an actress to be able to play in those flashbacks and just get a little rowdy?
It's so great. And it's great to be able to show all aspects of a character. It's great to be able to let that kind of like mean part of her out a little bit. The part that
is it therapeutic for you as an actress to get some frustration out?
You know, you don't get to do that in your life. So it's sometimes fun to play those moments in acting, but it's also, you know, I believe we have all of those parts of us in it, and at certain times, or, you know, some parts of us get turned up and others turned down, and it just depends on what's going on.
It's just life, right?
Yeah.
We all have different waves of it.
Yeah, but you should know, she might not even survive a transplant.
And let's talk about that spicy love triangle. It seems like we ended on a little cliffhanger there at the end of season 1. So where would you like to see Doc go in her love life moving forward? I mean, it could go any way, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, our show has this sort of juicy love triangle at the center of it, and in many ways it's sort of unique because Amy, for quite a while, doesn't even know she's in the love triangle because she can't remember she was in this relationship, and once that is revealed to her and it starts up again, I think there's something just intuitively that feels right to her about that. And as things get more stressful, you know, she does revert to some of her old behaviors. And that, I think, is where we start to see, oh, these aren't 2 different characters. This isn't old Amy and new Amy.
Yeah.
This is one person. What you saw isn't what you think you saw.
Are you at like dinner parties now and people are like, oh, can you check this or that? Or?
Well, I think for a couple months after we stopped shooting, I definitely had a lot of like advice to give friends who were with symptoms. I was like, oh, I think that's this. And so I've stopped doing that. But I don't know. It's given me so much respect for all healthcare workers because it's hard.
Yeah.
And you know, friends I know who work in that world, who went through COVID, who worked through that. I mean, the stress. Heroes, and just like we cannot underestimate how stressful that was for people. So I'm really happy to be able to kind of just bring a lot of positivity to what we do for that.
Very sweet interview there. All right, to this now, we often ask the question, what would you do if you won the lottery? How one winner in Virginia won't be depositing the winnings of her to her own bank account. We'll explain.
on Fox.
All right, let's get a final check of the forecast with Audrey Puente standing by. Hey, Audrey.
Hi there, Bianca. We have lots of clouds in place. Not much in the way of shower activity yet, but have your umbrella handy, especially tonight, because that's when we'll have showers and thunderstorms as a possibility as we go through the rest of the evening. It's mild out there. Temperatures will be topping out at 80 degrees here in the city, and tonight we'll drop back into the 60s. There will be the threat of showers and maybe even an isolated thunderstorm, and you could hear rumble of thunder overnight. Tomorrow, a bigger threat, so definitely have your umbrella handy for Thursday. Friday, we dry things out as we go into the weekend. Most of it will be dry. We have a chance of a shower Saturday night into very early on Sunday, and temperatures stay in the 70s by then. Bianca?
All right, Audrey, sounds great. Thanks so much. Well, that's our show, but before we go, here's one last thing to leave you with. A woman in Virginia is using her lottery win to help others. Carrie Edwards won $150,000 in the September 8th Powerball drawing, but instead of using the money on herself, she decided to donate it all to 3 charities. One of the charities, Association for Frontotemporal Degeneration, which supports research into the disease that claimed her late husband's life. The second donation went to Shalom Farms, a nonprofit farm and food justice organization. And Navy Marine Corps Relief Society also got a donation. That charity provides assistance for active duty service members, veterans, and their families. And then get this, the woman used ChatGPT to pick her winning numbers. Pretty incredible. All right, we'll see you tomorrow. 25 words or less is up next. And if you want more news, tune in to the Fox local app, which we're streaming right now.
Hello and welcome everyone to Newsroom Live. Antoine Lewis with you from the Fox 5 Newsroom here on the Upper East Side of Manhattan. Hope everyone's Wednesday is off to a nice start. Let's take a quick look outside so you can see how we are looking as far as our start midday on the Wednesday here. We've had some clouds. It's a dreary type of day. It's actually a little bit of humidity going on as well, but we'll be getting to that when Audrey Puente, our meteorologist, joins us in just a little bit. But as always, we talk about headlines and making news this morning. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky addressing the United Nations General Assembly, having a lot to say, giving also an update on that situation, the war between his country and Russia. Our Arthur Chien is covering that for us. Arthur joins us live now from the east side outside of the UN. Arthur, good to see you. And what can you tell us about Zelensky this morning?
Well, this was a very moving speech. It was a very profound speech. We just talked to the foreign minister of Finland, and she explained it in some terms that we understood, but also expanded on it. She said the key shifts here is that this war now entering its 4th year has gone on long enough. She says that Russia is essentially clearly the aggressor, and poses a threat not just to Ukraine, but at any point poses a threat to any other country, whether it be in Europe or otherwise, and that the world needs to come together and put a stop to it. Now, there are two major shifts in what is happening here, and let's just explain it this way. For one, President Trump is involved in the first shift after months of saying that Ukraine will probably have to concede land in order to get this war to end. President Trump now is supporting Ukraine's president's view that they can take back all the land that Russia has tried to take since the beginning of this war. That is a very notable shift from, if you remember, just about a month ago, the president called for a summit in Alaska, meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin. So back then he had a different view, but now he supports Ukraine's view that they can take it back together. And as part of that is the second development, which is President Trump asking European nations to cut back their purchases of Russian oil and gas, to put more pressure on Russia's economy and to force them to change the course that they're on right now in Ukraine. But the key development here at the United Nations today was Zelensky's speech to the General Assembly. Here's part of what he had to say.
Both, we can easily prioritize both, and I think President Trump is exactly right that we should try and squeeze the Russian war economy. And actually we are already on right track, because if you look at what Europe has done, we've cut 90% of our energy.
Arthur.
All right, Antoine, if we are back on now, and I assume that we are, then we also want to point out that one of the things that makes this particular UNGA session that much more important is that in recent weeks, Russian fighter aircraft and Russian drones have entered the airspace of several European countries, including Romania and Poland and Estonia, I think, to name a few. So Europe really coming together, asking here, what do they need to do? Now, what we learned from the Finnish foreign minister is that Europe has already cut back 90% of its purchases of Russian oil and gas, and she said the encouraging news here is that in their discussions they're seeing that these things are working. So she said all the sanctions, everything that they're doing, expect that to be ratcheted up in the coming days in order to try to force an end to that war that's gone on for 3.5 years there. But President Trump, again, announcing that he now believes that Ukraine can reclaim all its territories and is asking European nations to help, and Zelensky making the appeal that he needs more arms. Also, one last thing, making the point that with the advent of artificial intelligence, that the nature of war is changing, and that should alarm everybody, all the nations that are represented here at the UN. Antoine?
Sure. Thank you. We do have that Finnish, your interview with the Finnish Prime Minister. As you've been covering this and as you've been following this as our weekend anchor, you know, this seems to be some sort of reverse course, if you will, on Trump in regards to his thoughts on this. What do you make of that, sir?
There was a lot of head scratching going on during Trump's first term for being seen as being very much of an ally to Vladimir Putin. And that tone seems to have decidedly shifted over the recent months. It can be that Russia's economy is in trouble and really not supporting the global economy. That could be part of it, or that Trump has had it. If you recall, one of Trump's campaign promises is that he was going to end that war on day one. Now, a lot of people point out that day one expectation never meant the first 24 hours of him taking office. But as this grinds on, it's clear that Trump's boast that he would end both the war in between Israel and Gaza and the war between Russia and Ukraine, that neither of them are coming to fruition. So maybe there's this idea that he needs to shift his stance and try another way to get at least one of these world conflicts to get on a better track.
Arthur, thank you so much for that, and we'll see you again at 4 o'clock.
You got it.
All right. Other stories making news today. Officials in Dallas are investigating a shooting at an ICE processing facility. Here's what we can tell you. Officials got a 911 call around 6:40 this morning. Reports of a shooting at an ICE processing facility. Officers arrived. They found 3 people shot. Authorities say the victims were ICE detainees and that 2 of the victims have died and that the 3rd is in critical condition. Police say that the shooter is also dead. He died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. The preliminary investigation investigation looks as if the shooter was on top of an adjacent building and that he opened fire into an unmarked van that was in the Sallyport facility area there. The building appears to be, again, a processing facility, not a detention facility. From what we are learning, where the shooting took place is actually where they process undocumented persons, and then they are then transferred for holding at another location. So again, the shooter apparently turned the gun on himself as officers were approaching. This information coming from our Fox Dallas affiliate there. The mayor of Dallas was also part of the news conference. He was actually urging caution to all in the immediate area, to all in his city, as this investigation unfolds. So again, that's also happening right now that we're following. We actually have a live look at what's going on now. This is the investigation there. So again, this all unfolded around 6:40 this morning. Officials are telling us that at least 3 people were shot. That's whom they found. The 4th person, again, turned the gun on himself, that person being the suspected gunman in this situation. So as far as the motive, as far as who or what, the suspected shooter was targeting, that information yet to be revealed. The news conference that was held wrapped up maybe about an hour or so ago. So that's the very latest that we have on you for you on that. We'll be staying on top of that and continue to update that one throughout the day. We'll take a quick break and then more news, more weather when we come back. Okay, everyone, welcome back to Newsroom Live. Antoine Lewis, happy to be with you on this Wednesday. All right, if you've been in our area, if you're anywhere in the tri-state, it's just dreary out. Let's take a live look outside right now. Okay, no, Alex is going to test me. All right, there is the live look. As you can see, we definitely have clouds. And look at the Brooklyn Bridge there moving along. And so let's now go to the maps, and I'm going to try my hat. All right, so this is the future cast. Now, what we are anticipating are some showers to move through our area this afternoon. Now, the green that you saw, that's the showers, that's the precipitation. What you're looking at right now, this is a global look. Now, that off to the right there of the screen, that's east of us. That's because there are still some systems forming, that are categories now. They've moved into hurricane level, if you will. So that's what's going on there, and that's why that we still talk about it, because we're still in hurricane season. All right, these are our forecasts with the lows tonight, so you can still see, even though we are now in the maybe second full day of fall, but look at that right there. You see the flashes of lightning there because, again, we are anticipating some showers this afternoon and some thunderstorms. Now, what we can let you know is that you will need to keep the umbrellas handy, you know, at least into tonight and definitely into tomorrow, because we're also expecting more storms to move in. By the weekend, it should be clear. You know, we know Mother Nature ultimately is the boss here and she has the final say. But no, we're expecting that to happen. But you can look right there. We are a little bit warmer than we normally would be this time of year. And there's the 7-day. You can still see we have storm threats again tonight into tomorrow. But look at those temps. Now, this is new because yesterday when we were talking about it, the rain hadn't impacted the weekend. But again, Mother Nature calls the shot. So it looks like late Saturday into Sunday, we will have some rain. And then looks like it's going to rain possibly on Monday. So there we have that. Keep that handy. But we also want to talk a little bit about the Ryder Cup because we know that that officially kicks off today. And Tina Savasio actually spoke to Ryder Cup officials, just a preview, just to talk a little bit about that. And here's how her conversation went.
This week, the entire world will have their eyes on Long Island as the 2025 Ryder Cup will take place from September 26th through next Sunday, September 28th at Bethpage Black, bringing the world's top golfers to Farmingdale, New York. Team USA and Team Europe, they will compete in a foursome, four-ball, and then individual matches over those 3 days. And joining us now to get us ready for how to watch and how to follow and cheer, and yes, cheer out loud as New Yorkers do, even on golf courses, is PGA Director of Golf at Alpine Country Club, John Mascari, who's also a regular contributor on ESPN Radio on their golf coverage on Sunday mornings. John, welcome back to Sports Extra.
Great to be here, Tina. It's finally here, right?
Yes.
The Ryder Cup. We've had this date circled for years.
We've talked about it. You were here 2 years ago talking about the Masters, and now here we are. So, John, let's start first and foremost, a little history. This is the 45th Ryder Cup. Bring us back to how we got to this place at Bethpage.
So the Ryder Cup started in 1927, and it was brought together by Samuel Ryder, who you would think would be this big-time golfer. He was a seed salesman. And so he sold grass seed and put
British,
this tournament.
Right? He's from England?
Yeah, he's from England. And he put this tournament together to bring camaraderie and goodwill between the U.S. and Great Britain and Ireland, and had these matches and had a little trophy for it. And here we are with the entire golf world now descending on New York for Europe now as a whole versus the United States. And it's been a tough run for U.S. of late.
Yeah.
We're 12-9 on the losing side since 1985. We started out real well, but we took a beating in Rome 2 years ago, so I think we're ready for some comebacks.
So every 2 years, here we are now at Bethpage. Now, I mentioned the foursome play, four-ball, and then individual matches. So what really is the format on each day and how we keep score?
Sure, so I'll go through it. So it's Friday and Saturday are the same. You'll have an AM wave and a PM wave. So the AM is your foursomes. And what that means is two-person teams playing one ball, though. So like if you and I were a team, you would tee off on the even holes, I would tee off on the odd holes, and we'd play one ball. So you hit it, I hit it, you hit
Alternate.
it. So if I hit a bad shot, I'm only putting you in a bad spot. So when Keegan Bradley, the U.S. captain, has to put these teams together, he has to think a little bit about people playing together. They have similar type games. Scotty Scheffler is kind of carrying the baton. We all know he's the world #1 player, but I could see him with Henley. They're very close. They've played in the President's Cup before and have had success.
Russell Henley.
I can also see Scotty playing with Burns, who's a fantastic putter. We all know
Sam Burns.
The one part of Scotty's game that might be a little wonky is the putter. So put someone who's a great putter with him, and you might be able to free him up to hit some more aggressive playmaking.
Captain Keegan Bradley has not made this decision yet, or he has. He just hasn't announced it.
He probably has. You know, if we're being serious, I bet you he has it all folded up in a little piece of paper, but he's not going to announce that until the last minute because he doesn't want to give Captain Luke Donald of the European side any sort of insight to who he's going to pair out, so he can make his pairings against Keegan's pairings.
Then they earn the points along the ways, and the first team to 14.5 points actually wins.
So it's 28 points up for grabs. So you have 8 the first day, you have an AM and a PM. The PM groups are 4-ball, meaning you're playing your own ball.
Gotcha.
And it's just a better score.
Okay.
So a lot different pairing-wise. Like that's kind of for fireworks. Like you want to send your best players out, go make a ton of birdies. And then on the last day, it's individual. So 12 heavyweight matches, 12 against 12, each match for a point. And
the goal is to get the U.S. to the final
we
day
need to
because
get
they were
the
kind of blown
yes.
out 2 years ago.
If you remember, like after Friday and Saturday, we were way in the hole. Like
Right.
we were the four-sum competition, we were down 7-1.
Yeah, they got to
so
get
if
ahead
Keegan
early.
Bradley could at least get that to even and get into the weekend with tied or with a little lead, I think it's a huge advantage for us versus having to fight back on the last day. But as you mentioned before, 28 points. We have to get to 14 and a half. If it's 14-14, Europe keeps the cup.
Oh, gotcha. Yes,
So
that's
tie
right.
goes to the defending champ.
You need to
yes.
win.
All right, so if it's 14-14, Europe keeps the cup. Anyway, you can, of course, catch Sports Extra on Sundays right after the late 10 o'clock newscast. All right, before we go, let's take a quick look outside. We're going to take a quick break, but we want to let you know that Skyfox HD is on its way to a fire. Reports of a fire may actually be under control now up in the Bronx in the Mott Haven section. So that's what you're looking at right now, Skyfox HD, heading up to the Bronx borough. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll have more information on where Skyfox is and that story when we come back. All right, welcome back to Newsroom Live. So what you're looking at is Skyfox HD. That's the camera on the bottom of it that you're looking at right there. And so as we told you right before the break, that the chopper is headed to cover a fire in the Mott Haven section of the Bronx. Now here's what our trusty assignment desk just handed me not too long ago. 911 call came in around 11:30, a reported fire on the 12th floor of a high-rise building. 20 units arrived, 80 fire and EMS personnel were there, 1 civilian patient's being treated, and we understand that a firefighter was also possibly injured. We don't know the degree of the injuries, but again, that's why you're looking at the bottom of that. So we're staying on top of that, and we'll of course bring you the very latest in the news block at 4. Let's take a look outside as we talk about the weather, because we know that the threat of showers is going to be something we have to contend with. Is that not the case, Audrey Pointe?
Hi,
No.
my favorite subject. Let's talk weather.
So showers?
Well, you know, it's a little murky outside. We've had a couple of isolated showers. I don't think we're going to see a washout today. However, tomorrow you definitely need your umbrella handy. We're expecting showers and thunderstorms. Some of them could be strong. There's an elevated risk for severe weather tomorrow.
Okay.
So what we have here is actually a stationary front, Antoine. It's kind of draped over the area. That's why you have all the cloud cover. It's quite humid. We're on the southern side of that front. That's the that's the warmer and more humid side. So that's why it's feeling like summer, even though we're officially in the fall season. And And we have a kind of waves of energy riding along the front. That helps to pop up a couple of showers. Again, most of the action has been happening east of us, west of us, and a couple of isolated showers to the north. So I think we're going to stay with a lot of clouds today. It'll feel like it's going to pour, but I really don't think we're going to see a lot of action until maybe later this afternoon or this evening.
Into tomorrow.
Right, tomorrow is really the main event. I think we have some graphics. Yep, there we go.
See, look,
Beautiful.
you asked for and you received.
Look at that, the magic of television here. Okay, so yeah, some of those green spots, those showers you see, they're not all reaching the ground. New England, yes, those showers and storms were definitely there. And you can see to the west, see what's happening across central Pennsylvania.
Right.
That's headed in our direction, but I think a lot of that is actually going to fizzle out as it works towards our region. So I think really south of, let's say, I-80 is our best chance of seeing a shower this evening, maybe an isolated thunderstorm. Tomorrow, though, there's a swath of rain coming out of the Great Lakes that's headed in our direction, and that's going to produce kind of rounds of showers and storms. Here we are on the Futurecast.
Right.
There's one round that's coming in the morning. We get a break in the day, then we get another round around dinner time. So it's going to be on and off showers and storms. You definitely want to have your umbrella handy tomorrow.
So I have a question, because you always talk about the dew point, you know, and how that correlates in situations like this. So share that with us again for today.
The dew point is a measure of moisture in the atmosphere. So when we see the numbers rise above 65, that's when it starts to feel really humid and uncomfortable. It's also an indicator for us, meteorologically speaking, of another element that kind of feeds or is an ingredient for storms to actually develop. So when we see dew points that are rising into the 60s and 70s, and when we combine that with like a trigger, which would be a cold front, some upper level dynamics, that's when we can forecast showers and storms, and that's the case right now.
Now, in the block just before you came down, I was trying to wing it. You know, we had the global picture. There were two systems developing in the Atlantic.
Oh, yes.
Yep. See,
yes.
I was trying
Very
to do my
good.
part.
You've been listening.
I understood the
Yes,
assignment.
yes.
You know, so but to talk about the systems, because I know you were very attentive to that earlier. We were talking about that.
Okay, so that's in the Atlantic. The
In
National
Atlantic.
Hurricane Center is watching. We have Hurricane Gabrielle, which is out in the Atlantic. It's actually heading towards Spain. First the Azores, then Spain. Very interesting meteorologically to watch. Then, more interest to us here, there's two areas, let's say, of low pressure right now. The National Hurricane Center is watching right near the Leeward Islands, heading towards the Caribbean. These have a 90% chance of developing into our next tropical system within the next 48 hours. So we are watching closely, and these, at the very minimum, these will actually churn up the waters along the East Coast, which, by the way, we've had a high risk of rip currents because of Hurricane Gabrielle. That's exiting, and then these systems will probably churn up our
I was
waters.
just going to ask our producer Alex to, if she showed the graphics, then maybe it'll, you know, as we rotate through it, it'll pop up so everyone can see what it is.
Yeah, we're not in the tropics one yet.
Yeah, I have it on a loop. It'll be coming up, but I can continue to tell you that.
See, look, we were just talking about the dew point.
Correct.
See?
Yes, and these are numbers that tell us that it's quite humid and the atmosphere is a little unstable, which is why we have the threat of a couple of showers and thunderstorms. Winds are actually not that bad. They're coming out of the southeast, a little breezy at times in the city right now. And again, we have lots of clouds in place. There have been like skies brightening from time to time. We actually had some peaks of sun around the Jersey Shore south of Belmar, also out towards the Hamptons, but everyone else is seeing this low deck of clouds, and there is the threat of a shower, but I think it's just going to be isolated showers for the rest of the afternoon.
So the system is moving from the west, going northeast, it looks like.
West, rather east-northeast,
yeah,
yes.
east-northeast.
Yeah.
And
we're
then,
sort of in the sweet spot, you can see on the map, so we're not really seeing much in the way of rain.
Which is why you were just saying this evening we won't get as bad as some of the other.
Well, we could get a shower tonight.
Okay.
Yeah, let's say after sunset. You can see here on the Futurecast, we're going to have rounds of rain starting later tonight, and tomorrow definitely have your umbrella handy, because we'll have rounds of rain in the morning for the commute, right around lunchtime, then again in the evening, and within those rounds we could get some thunderstorms.
There it is. Oh, sorry. I was waiting.
Yes. Okay. That was Gabrielle. Here are the two lows you wanted to look at. Yes. These two are very much of an interest for the National Hurricane Center. We're going to see how these may affect the Caribbean. At the very least, we're seeing rains already around the Caribbean, and they're projected to move towards the southeastern states. So all eyes are on like Florida, the Carolinas. Let's see how that goes by the beginning of next week.
Well, I bring it up because when we think and hear hurricanes, we always think, oh, North Carolina, Cape Hatteras, you know, Florida, and all that. But no, we're talking about islands in the Caribbean, that are still under the hurricane season.
We all are. We all are. The hurricane season goes until November 30th. So it's been quiet lately, but now things are starting to get a little more active, and the water is very warm. That helps to fuel the hurricanes. In fact, Gabrielle was a Category 2 and went to a Category 4. I think it was in a matter of 18 hours, which is pretty impressive, and that's because we have such warm waters in the Atlantic, and those fuel hurricanes. So we saw rapid intensification with Gabrielle. We'll have to see how these two areas of low pressure develop over the next, let's say, 48 hours or so, because they are projected to turn into tropical depressions, so we'll see.
All right. So, well, as we always are talking about all things weather,
We could talk about this for
I
hours.
know you
I'm
could.
on and on. Pull up a seat, everybody.
I know you could. You know, and as we look at that, you know, that's of course we're talking with our looking at 7th.
Times Square.
Yeah, Times Square.
Yeah,
area.
I love seeing that shot because that's. Or does anyone have umbrellas? Because I don't have windows. We don't have windows in the newsroom or in the weather center for that matter.
Get to look outside.
Can I tell a funny story about that?
Absolutely.
Okay, so it's often a complaint of weather people when we have our studios, our weather centers in studios, because we don't have windows and we're like, I can't see. So at my first TV station when I was an intern in Syracuse, we had windows, but the windows were up top, like at near the ceiling, like of the area that we were in. And in Syracuse, of course, it snows like crazy, so they would get covered in snow for 4 or 5 months of the winter. So even though we had windows, they were snow covered because.
So every time you looked out, everything was just nice.
Like, okay, there's still snow on the
snowy.
ground. That we know because the window's still covered in snow.
Wait, my first station in Norfolk, Virginia, we did weather on the roof. You know.
Oh, I love those stations.
Which was fine. Then the viewers were upset because he would be up there with an umbrella, and they were like, "Why do you have this man outside in the weather?" It was like,
concerned.
Well,
the shelter's right underneath them. The shelter's right underneath them.
The shelter is, but all right, I know we're wrapping up things here, and again, the threat decreases
by Friday. Actually,
Friday.
The weekend is okay. There's a chance of a shower Saturday night and early Sunday morning. I think we'll be okay. I know there's a Tunnel to Towers run Sunday morning. A bunch of us will be there. I'll be there. And so I'm thinking the rain will end before the run. So that's some good news.
See, that's what I was about to lead into, knowing that the forecast for that, what people could expect if they're going to be doing the run.
Yeah, so, I think we'll be okay.
So possibly take the umbrellas just handy.
I'll let you know.
Okay.
Because I'll be there myself, so I'll let you know.
I'll text you. All right, everybody. So again, while Audrey's here with us, we just want to go over our top story. We're following a breaking news story real quickly out of Dallas. Around 6:40 this morning, shots were fired at an ice processing facility, and we understand right now 3 people are dead. This is the looks of the investigation that's going on. The shots may have come from an adjacent building. The motive still, waiting on that information. Or well, you see, investigators are there. We can let you know that the FBI, Dallas PD, as well as ICE, the Department of Homeland Security, all have officers there, so they are following that. And that was, again, one of the breaking stories that we have. Next news is coming up at 4 o'clock, the news block. I will be with you there. You in the 4 today?
Yep.
Hey, okay, we'll be there again. So you get to see us do our thing again as far as discussing the weather, but we want everyone to be safe.
Thanks for watching Fox 5 New York. We're now joining live now from Fox.
The passenger and maybe get a little bit more of a feel about what's going on inside that cab. Is there a heated discussion? It looks like we might be turning it back onto the freeway. There's an on-ramp right there. Could be doing it, and it looks like we're getting back onto the freeway.
I was just the second thing I was going to ask you is I haven't seen, I don't know if you can tell if there were any police units, but now we're back on the freeway in front of the cab, but I suppose that's different now since we are back on that freeway now.
Well, they have the opportunity to get back onto the freeway. Let me take a look here. This is a long on-ramp. They actually have a couple of, no, don't just get back on the freeway. But we'll take a peek here in just a second. No, they don't usually put the officers in front of the vehicle. I've actually wondered about that as well. Maybe do a rolling roadblock or something, get a number of officers and then just kind of slow down in front of it and kind of give it away, not a way that get around. But that one is kind of another one where they, policy, they frown on that because it puts officers at risk, and it actually sets up a situation where if the suspect acts aggressively, then, it becomes a legal issue, and it's so